Hi guys, my name is Markus Brunke. I'm head of product here at Billwerk Plus, and today I'm going to give you a short introduction to our payment product, Billwerk Pay. This is the admin portal where you can do pretty much everything. A lot of the content here is either tied to Billwerk Pay or Billwerk Optimize, the two products we have on this platform. You can easily upgrade from Pay to Optimize. So although there might be some tools and features inside the admin here you can access with Pay, you can always upgrade to Optimize. So today we're only going to focus on all the Pay stuff. The first thing I always do when I set up a new account is I go to settings, and thereafter I go to account. Here I have my account settings. Here I can pre-fill my account name, address, and different other informations here, just my logo and so on. These informations are good to just put in when you create your account because these information are being reused other places in the platform. So once I have done that, I go to configuration, and here you see a lot of different configurations. So a lot of this is tied to Optimize, product catalogs tied to subscription and Optimize. Same goes for customer sales service and these configurations as well. But here we have checkout management, and that applies for Billwerk Pay. So here we have checkout. Let's click on that first. Here I can create the different checkouts I want. So right now I just have a test account, but I could create as many checkout as I want. So let's say I have 4, 5, 6 different e-commerce platforms or sales channels. Maybe I just want one account with 6 different payment windows with different logos inside and different styling. With the checkout feature, you can do that. So you can create as many checkouts as you want, and you can use them on your different sales channels. Normally, and the most merchants just use the default one. So this is the default one. You can specify a handle and a name, which default language. Obviously, when you create the payment window, you can always override the language for each payment session. You can control the amount formatting. You can control which payment method should be available in the payment window. Some ordering of the payment methods in the payment window. If you don't have the payment methods on your checkout side instead, then you can rearrange the different payment methods inside the payment window. Your logo, and also some enhanced styling of the payment window where you can go in and you can style the different colors and change the fonts and so on, which is pretty cool. Once you have done that, you're pretty much good to go. Now it's just about enabling payment methods. So you can go to payment methods, and here you can find all the payment methods we support. So first of all, we support cards. We'll dig into that a bit later. Then we have mobile payments, so Apple Pay, Google Pay, all the usual one. There's a lot of different ones, different places in Europe. We have different installment payment methods as well. Bank redirects payment methods, direct debits, prepaid services, and some offline payment methods. So if you want to enable any of these payment methods, once you have a live account on a test account, you can just simply click on it, and we will ask you whether you have an existing agreement or would like to hear more. And if you don't have an agreement, you can just click here, fill out the form, and that will send a mail to our sales team who will help you get that agreement for that specific payment method. Some of the payment methods are pretty easy just to enable. If you scroll up, let's say Apple Pay, it just requires a credit card agreement. So once you have a credit card agreement, you can simply just flick the switch. That goes for Google Pay as well, and a couple of others. Some of them works for recurring payments as well. So credit card works for that. Apple Pay, mobile pay subscription in Denmark and Finland, Vipps recurring in Norway, SEPA as well, Ideal in the Netherlands, and more to come. So this is all the payment methods or local payment methods we support. We have then credit cards as well. So if you click that, you go to another page called card agreements. And here you can see all the card acquirers we support. Now I'm on a test account, so might not be 100% true, but we support 14 different acquirers. If you have an acquire agreement with any of the supported ones, you can enable that one. If you don't have an acquire agreement, you can get an acquire agreement simply by going to settings. Normally you will see a pop-up banner here as well where it says you can apply for a card acquirer. But if you don't have one, you can go to settings and you can go to applications, and here you can fill out this form, which just asks for the regular stuff when you sign up for any bank and KYC is needed. So you can fill out this form, submit it, and then you would have an acquire agreement. And you can get this acquire agreement within minutes. Once you sign up this form, you will get an email with a contract you need to sign. And once you've signed that contract, if everything goes right, you will have a live agreement under your card acquirers. So here we will automatically enable acquire for you based on the card acquiring agreement you applied for. And then you would be able to receive credit card payments. So once the card acquire agreement is set up, you can go ahead and enable the payment methods where just a credit card agreement is required, stuff like Apple Pay, Google Pay, and so on. And at that point, you would be able to receive credit card payments and mobile payments. And if you want further payment methods, PayPal and so on, you would be able to enable those as well. At this point, you would have all the payment methods configured. Your basic configuration is pretty much done. So besides configuration, there's some things you need to know about. Billwerk Plus is a very customer-centric platform. That means everything starts with a customer. So if you want to perform a payment, you would need to create a customer first. So let's just take this customer here. Here I have the customer. I can change the customer information. I can also go ahead and create a new customer if I want to do that, but let's just use the existing one we have here. So here we have the customer. We can see the customer's payment method. We can also see on this customer there is a subscription, but that is tied to the Billwerk Plus Optimize platform. So if you want subscription capabilities, you would need to upgrade for Optimize. Although you can do recurring payments with Billwerk Plus Pay, you just don't get the full subscription management tool as well. You can then create an invoice. So let's create an invoice here. We can see we are creating the invoice for the customer here. We can also go ahead and add some billing and shipping information if you want to do that. Then we can add some order lines. So we could just write something here, propose an amount. If you only signed up for Pay, you would only be able to specify a flat VAT percentage. If you have Optimized, you can use tax policies, which is under configuration, where you can configure all your tax policies. So in this case, it would probably look something like this. If you signed up for Pay only, you can add more order lines. And this is the same if you connect Billwerk Plus to your e-commerce platform. Order lines will also be added here if you want to use that. You can also just use an amount and an order text, and that's it. But you have the option to send order lines to us as well. And then we can add some metadata if we want to store some custom data on this invoice. And now we will be able to tell which kind of invoice type we want to create. So either a charge invoice, which is a regular payment. So that will be what you can do through Billwerk Plus Pay. If you want to do customer invoices with PDFs and emails and so on, you would have to upgrade for Billwerk Plus Optimize. So we can do a charge and we can say, all right, which payment method, either a new payment method, an existing one, or manual handling. So let's do a new one. We also have more settings here, like language, should we save the payment method while paying, and other options here. Let's just save the payment method while paying, actually. Let's create, go to the payment window, and put in a test card here. All right, let's go back. And now we are redirected to the invoice. So if we go under invoice, under payments here, we can now see the invoice here and it's authorized. So let's click at it. We can see the order line. We can see 10 euros were authorized. We can see a transaction, which were an authorization that was approved. We can click it and we can see a whole bunch of information like bank and mass credit card and all sorts of stuff here. If we go up a bit again, we have the option to settle the invoice. So if we click settle, we can settle the invoice. We can also settle less if you want to. We can do as many settle as we want, as long as we don't go over the remaining authorized amount. So let's do a €5 settle here. Now we can see settled €5, remaining authorized is €5, and we can see another transaction, a settle, which was approved. Now we also have the option to refund. So we can do a refund. And obviously only refund €5 because we have only settled €5. So we can click confirm. And now €5 is remaining authorized, €5 is settled, and then €5 were refunded. So we can see the refunds here. And now we can see a third transaction, a refund, which was also approved. Lastly, we can see a timeline for the invoice and we can see sessions. And sessions is each time you visit the payment window or each time we generate a new payment window. So in this case, there were only one payment window generated for this invoice. So we're able to click that and look at the events, what happened in the payment window, and we can also jump directly to the payment window, which right now is paid, right? But if you have an open invoice where the customer haven't paid yet, or maybe the customer is calling you and asking you, I can't figure out how to pay, you would be able to jump directly to the payment window and just see the same thing they are seeing. It's not a screen sharing or anything. It's very helpful for helping the customers who have a bit of troubles paying. You can also go to transactions on the invoices or on the payments and see all your transactions. And if you click any transaction, you can see the last 3 transactions we did here. But if we click the transaction, we'll jump directly to that transaction on the invoice. If we go back to the customer again, we also have credit notes, which will be created due to the refunds. We have payouts if you want to send money to stored credit cards. And lastly, we also have a timeline for the customer to see what happened on this customer. If we scroll up now, we can see a payment method. And that was because we chose to store the payment method while paying. So now we have a saved payment method. We could also simply click this button and create a payment link for it, and we can send that link to the customer. Just like you saw when I created the invoice down here with new payment method, when I click create, a link appeared, and I could also send that link to the customer if I wanted to create a payment link. But now if we do a new invoice, let's just take 10 euros again. We can now click existing payment methods, and now we have a stored payment method we can charge. So we can click create, and now we have charged a stored payment method. So it's very easy to use the admin here. Like if you are a small business that simply want to do payments from the admin here, it's very intuitive and very simple to use. If you have an e-commerce store, we support a bunch of plugins like WooCommerce, Shopify, Magento 2, and actually also the old version, PrestaShop, OpenCart, and so on. There's a lot of options there. Besides that, if you want to do a more complex integration, everything you see here is API first. We are API first platform, and everything you see is based on our own API. So if you want to do your own custom integration towards, you can do that for sure. We have a lot of tools for that. First of all, a lot of documentation, but we also support cool tools like our checkout helper, where you can easily create different sessions and see how the code would look like and so on. Some of the last things I want to show you, under Analyze and under Payments, you will be able to see your payments metrics. Right now, this is in beta, and that's because it's something we just launched, but there will be a lot of new metrics coming. So this is really good for you to go in and look at how the business is growing, which payment methods are being used, and you can also do different filters. So in this case, we only have card enabled, but if you have multiple payment methods enabled, you can filter by the different payment methods and transaction type and transaction state and so on. So this is really cool to get a bit better understanding of how your payments are going. You can also go under reports and download a bunch of reports if you want to do that. There's also a lot of useful stuff there. That's it for this short introduction. If you want to test it out, I would recommend you to go into our website, create a free test account, which is free forever, and you can test all the features here. You can not only test all the Billwerk Pay features, but you can also test all the Billwerk Optimize features. And once you go live, you can then decide whether you need Billwerk Pay or Billwerk Optimize with the full billing suite. If you have any questions, reach out to us. Have a good day.